I'm going to share my screen now. Can you all see my screen? It should be this document that says actions on top. Is everyone seeing that? Thank you. So it's difficult when I share screen to see everybody's faces. I only get like three beautiful faces, but I can't see everyone. So please feel free to come off of mute and just say something or put something in the chat. You know, this is an open discussion, so I want you to feel free to speak. We don't have that much time. I believe most of us were here from the last group. Is there anyone besides Joan that wasn't with us last time?
I wasn't there for the whole thing.
Okay.
But I'm co-chair with Cheryl, Robin Lloyd, and so I have a good idea of what might have been talked about, so I'm glad to be here now.
We're so happy to have you here. So for this document, you'll see that I have a number of actions and then a place to place an X for you to vote. So we've got a few votes. We have 3 right now. I'm going to give everyone 2 minutes to please click on the document and read through the actions and put an X next to the one that you want to talk about. So we'll spend the rest of our time together. We only have until 3:45, so not a tremendous amount of time. So I want to make sure that we talk about the actions that are important to this group, and then we'll take it from there.
So this is Barbara Nielsen again, and I have a question.
Yes, Barbara.
So I do my activism work within WILF and with my TPNW work, not only with my branch, but also within the Disarm and Wars Issues Committee. I'm not exactly sure what we're talking about here about this document and actions, what an action plan. What is the organization that this is relevant to?
WILF. This is a WILF conference. So
well, I understand. I understand that the branch is hosting this, but where I'm just not sure what the branch and organizers are talking about actions here when we have actions within our issue committees. I'm just a little confused.
I think that's a question you'll have to bring to the conference organizers. I am facilitating this breakout room. Our instructions were to come up with actions that as a conference, we're going to be committing to. So if there is distinction that you need between what that means for your committee versus this conference, I'm not in the hierarchy of WILF. I'm sorry, I don't know.
No,
perhaps I could speak to that, but I also don't want to spend a lot of time discussing something that's not relevant to the rest of the group here. But Cheryl, if you could speak to her question quickly, and then we can move on.
I think yeah, Teresa would like us to come out with 3 actions that the attendees in each breakout session, individually at least, commit to doing something about. Okay, and you can do it within the Disarm Committee, you can do it within your branch, you can do it individually, but mostly it was to get more energized about these 4 issues. The TPNW is kind of unusual compared to the other 3 issues. So I'm hoping that, you know, we're supposed to drill everything down to 3 actions. So can we at least come up, do this voting in the Google Doc that you should all be able to get to, and put an X about, you know, what you personally would be able to do in the next short while. And some of it's very, very quick and very easy. It's, signing the petition, advocating for the human rights, the bill 2850 that we've been advocating for 20 years actually. So anyway, so hopefully that's clearer.
Yeah, it is. It means that I'm not really able to make any selections because I've already made my position fairly clear within the committee. So thanks very much.
But you can vote here. I mean, just so we can help drill down to 3 actions. It's just
no. I'll
Okay,
let
if you
Thank
don't
you.
want to vote, that's fine. Thank you so much. Laurel, I see your hands up.
Wiggling, yes. Could you make your screen such that we can see all of the actions at the same time so that I can kind of compare them and read them a little bit more carefully?
Sure.
Oh.
Let's see. I don't know if they will fit all on one screen. There is a number of them. So,
but
Okay.
what you should be doing is looking at them in the Google Doc. You scroll down to page 4 of 5 pages. And that's where you're going to be able to actually put the X's.
yeah.
Right, I'm on that spot, but I can't see all of them because Rebecca's controlling that. So I don't have any
No.
control
You
over
have to go to the Google Doc. The Google Doc is a different window on your browser.
Okay. Let's
And
see.
so in the chat, Rebecca has put a URL.
Put it again, just so that it's the
Yeah.
very first thing in the chat. Now you can click on that and it will open a new window for you. And you'll be able to look at the document and read it in your own time and then make your selection.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Rebecca, shall we vote for 3, or I've lost track, or are we just voting for 1?
Well, I wanted to see where people were thinking and where a lot of the energy was. And so far, we've gotten a number of votes. So thank you for everyone who has participated. So it looks like the divestment is number 1 right now. And it seems like urging Congress. So action number 1. And so actually action number 1 and the localities and legislator coalition, I actually see those very connected.
Right.
So
And some of these actions are really very fast, everybody.
yes. Like literally clicking and writing your name down.
Right. So
like action number 1 is pretty, you just need to add your name. And that's for proposal 2850.
Okay, but this is Robin Lloyd, and I've been on the Disarm Committee for a long time. And certainly the Nuclear Weapons Abolition and Economic and Energy Conversion Act has been on our front burner for a long time. And finally, I've gotten my representative to co-sponsor it. There's nothing else I can do, I believe.
Dates to fulfill the
Or that I mean, aside from like holding a meeting here. So
one of the that's wonderful, and congratulations on getting your representative to co-sponsor, because that is a difficult task. I will say for the New York City legislation, what we did, we formed a committee around our legislation. And once we got co-sponsors, we set a goal of making sure that we were veto proof. So I don't know what state you're in, but for New York City, that was, it had to have over 43 votes. So our goal was to get to 45. Which is what we got to. So we, in our committee, it wasn't just our representative that we were lobbying. We were lobbying the entire committee. So there, I don't know if there are ways for your group to look at or work on getting more people to.
Yeah, right.
Commit.
We actually have we've had a legislative campaign specifically on some of the getting co-sponsors for the 2850. And we did that earlier in the year, and we did get more co-sponsors, but these legislative campaigns need to be ongoing all the time.
Yes.
And
really, you have to, it was with New York, it was every single meeting for 2.5 years straight that we were at their meetings, sending them messages. There's an entire social media campaign. There were reports that we created. Anytime there was pushback, we took their pushback and created a report on why that wasn't true. And also, one of the biggest pieces for New York City, the way that we got this passed, was creating reports that showed where and how their different constituents were affected by either nuclear waste, downwind radiation, whatever, wherever they were positioned within Manhattan. There are a number of different Superfund sites and things. So when the council person would say, like, what does that have to do with me and my constituents? We had the proof and reports to show them this actually affects you and your community members directly. And that was the huge shift, because at first people were just slamming doors in our faces and they're like, this has nothing to do with me. But when you can show people that there is an actual line from what is happening in their community, how people are getting sick, all of those numbers, and it's related to the Superfund sites that are on their land, they are much more motivated to listen to you. And then you bring them the information about what they're actually able to do and how this has an impact on the ground. That's how we got so much momentum. But it was definitely consistent, very tenacious, and like we were one meeting away from it not happening.
So could you explain to me, maybe I missed out. You're saying that the City Council of New York
just passed
the Nuclear Weapons Abolition and Economic and Energy
No.
Conversion Act, or they
No.
at least
They
No.
divested from.
No, they passed a whole bunch of legislation relating to New York City.
I
Nuclear
understand
weapons.
that, but did they support this precise bill?
I believe that this is a national bill and New York City is a city bill. So they basically created what the economic impact bill would be, but for New York City. So they are divesting $475 million from their pension funds that was invested in nuclear weapons. And in addition to that, a part of the bill was that money has to sit in committee, and that it is a community committee that determines where that money goes, so that it cannot be reinvested into fossil fuels or into other weapons.
Right.
And in addition, New York City joined ICANN City Appeals, and they also reestablished New York City as a nuclear weapon-free zone, which is crucial because it's a huge port. So that was what we were able to pass. But again, that took sustained daily effort for almost 3 years.
Right.
But
So I'm aware that Gloria has been asking questions about tax bases. So don't bank on the bomb website. Actually, and other places that I don't have to hand, they have done calculations. People have done calculations that if you were to replace your local missile plant with a different type of technology, a plant working on solar energy or different kind of agriculture or something, that actually more jobs are created. So this kind of information is out there, that it actually isn't just that missile plants and weapons companies actually don't produce as much local jobs, and jobs equal money being spent in that region as other types of industry would. And so that's why the Economic and Energy, it's called Economic and Energy Conversion Act, because the suggestion is that the money that would have been spent on the weapons go back into these other industries. And then other people have done that calculation by, there's people out there who spend their time digging around in records and working out that actually, the missile stuff doesn't produce as much local economic benefit. So that's what you have to spend time looking at for those things, and then arguing with your city about that. And I'm just trying to see if on the, okay, I will try and find, do we have Don't Bank on the Bomb down there?
Yes, we do. And Divestment Resources, which
Yes.
also got a number
Yes,
of
so-
votes.
So the New York City legislation just passed is very extensive. You can just concentrate on one part of all that. Just getting your city to endorse the TPNW, for example, and those resolutions are available in templates of resolutions are available through some of these other websites. And I put in the main chat a link to the AREPA organization, who are coordinating. Many different organizations are going to be celebrating this first anniversary on the 22nd of January, the first anniversary of the entry into force. And on their website, which I put in the main chat, so please keep saving the chat, they have resources like templates for resolutions. And the localities and legislators group also will provide you. You don't have to go back and invent all these things yourself. So many people have done it ahead of you, like the city of Berkeley, and I think there's like 50 different cities that have already had resolutions. Some of them are called Back from the Brink resolutions, which are trying to get the US to adopt a no first use of nuclear weapons policy. This is all we're trying to pressurize the outcome of the nuclear posture review, which is where our government says how they will use their nuclear weapons in the future. It's the posture of our nuclear war plans that are made public. So lots of things you could be doing from sitting in front of your computer. You don't actually have to leave the house to work on a lot of this stuff. So, Rebecca, how are we doing? We've been asked to try to drill down and only have 3 actions that we're going to report on. Are you feeling comfortable that we've got 3?
Well, I want us to take a vote. It seems like the 3 actions that have the most right now is sending or endorsing an open letter about the NPT, which is being held at the beginning of January, this 2022. That's a very simple action. And then the divestment resources, we'll have to talk about that, but there are a lot of votes for that, of what that actually means. And then the Economic and Energy Conversion Act. This is also, Cheryl, this is just signing a letter as well, right? Like to your personal representative.
That's the basic thing. But of course, trying to meet with them in their office while they're home for Christmas is another thing. So what we've done is given you the basic action, but we'd like people to get a little more involved and make an appointment to visit your, because I believe they are starting, for the longest time you couldn't visit your local rep's office because of COVID, but they're opening up, or at least have a phone conversation with the aide. You ask for the aide who is dealing with defense, and then you tell the aide why you want this HR 2850 to be co-sponsored by your representative. It seems like you need a lot of co-sponsors to get these bills out of committee, and so they're actually put on somebody's agenda. This is always the problem that we're up against. I'd also like to say, with regard to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, we have a delegation from WILF US of 11 of us who are now getting accredited to attend that review committee, review conference of the NPT from the 4th to the 28th of January. It'll be virtual. We are not allowed inside the UN building.
We actually may be able to go inside.
Okay, because the latest I heard from Alison Pitlack, which is they weren't sure yet, but reachingcriticalwill.org is where the latest information is about side events. So Reaching Critical Will is in charge of all the NGOs, and there are many NGOs who are working on that statement. It's actually still being revised. Well, actually, that's the open letter. There's a statement that we...
There's a statement that's still being worked on.
Yes.
I'm actually delivering a portion of that, portion 3 on diversity and women.
Okay, so, you know, so there are things that that WILF people are trying to be part of and bring pressure, because it says those, you know, that is a convention, a treaty that actually the US has signed many years ago, and it says we're going to aim towards disarmament and reduction of weapons, and that's not been happening in the last 10 years. So we have to bring pressure on, again, our Congress people.
Yes, and there's something in the chat, I'm not quite sure, but Gloria said something about local issues being obsolete if we get these big treaties. I just want to speak to that for a moment, because the treaty has passed. Nuclear weapons are illegal, but it's still going to be on, especially here in the United States. We're in a country that has not signed the treaty. So all of these local pushes are incredibly important as we try. Like, I honestly don't know if we're going to see a day when the United States joins this treaty. The United States hasn't joined a number of these arms treaties. However, it doesn't matter, because when we have the divestment piece going and the rest of the world has decided that we don't use those weapons anymore, we don't use those weapons anymore. So the push from us in the grassroots right now is critical. It's crucial. So no, I don't believe that these local issues will ever be obsolete. Like, that's where the energy and the push has to come from. It is a long game, and I understand that it's not as appealing as doing something where you get an immediate result, or like going out and protesting and feeling that energy. This is a sustained, very long process, but it's the one that works. And it's the one where we've seen now, and we have models that we'll be able to put out of how to actually get this done. So I mentioned, and I'm not by any means saying that protesting isn't important, because it's crucial as well, but it has to be coupled with these long-term. We have to be able to see and determine what actions can be done simultaneously, so that we're raising awareness. Like, I honestly think something around the first anniversary for the entry to force around the TPNW, I think that A, it's easy for us to do. B, it's huge. I advocate that be one of the actions that come out of this group, because it's something that all of us can do. We can bring back to our branches, our committees, and make a commitment that we will raise awareness about this treaty, because that's really important as well. Yes, talk to your Congress people. Yes, work on these divestments, but also let's make sure that we are raising awareness for our fellow country people about this as well, because we need both. Because if we're pushing things in Congress and we're pushing things in our localities, they're going to say, my constituents don't care. We need their constituents to care in order for this to pass. So in order for their constituents to care, they have to know. So there has to be both. We have to think about this as like a two-pronged approach. So the divestments, calling our Congress people, our localities, but then also don't forget about that critical piece of raising awareness.
And they on that website, the AREPA website, there are templates for writing letters to your local newspaper editor. Again, they've provided there many resources on, so you get a ready-made letter which you can modify a little bit for your local town. And so there are so many things you can do, and using a date, like we always use August the 6th and 9th as anniversaries of the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs. So in addition, now we're trying to add this other date, the 22nd of January, to bring awareness of nuclear weapons and how awful they are to your local people, and then rising up to your Congress people and your senators, of course, because the ratification happens in the Senate.
Yeah. All right, we only have 2 more minutes, although we did not get a notice that the rooms were closing, but let's see.
I'd like to just bring up that the follow-up to those 51 nations that voted for the TPNW, they are going to be meeting in a month after that or something, maybe in March. I don't know the date exactly.
In Vienna.
Very important to watch for, because they will be making the really hardcore decisions of how their country is going to totally divest, and that could be very meaningful for a lot of companies and countries. Yes. So follow that as much as you can.
Right, there will, if you look at Rebecca's where Adobe PowerPoint kind of presentation, you will see information on that plan of in March in Vienna, 2 days where it's going to happen. Some people are going to try to get to Vienna to make a presence. We've heard that Germany and Norway, who are not ratifiers yet, are going to be observers to that meeting. So that's very important. It shows that they have an interest in what's going on. We have a new German political group in power now, who apparently are more open to this thought. There are many nuclear weapons actually in Germany that are nuclear weapons. I think the majority of their population would like those nuclear weapons to be gone. So this is, so we're not alone. Please take comfort from the fact there are many people all over the world working on this. And so we can take strength from that too.
Thank you. So yeah, in this presentation, there's a lot more information. There are links for you to follow. And I'll put this back in the chat for you all, but there's a lot of resources on the divestment piece for this.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
But yes, thank you, everyone.
I know most of you, and I hope some of you will turn up at our Disarm Committee meeting 4:30 this Sunday, tomorrow, 4:30 Pacific time, and we can be on the agenda, we can be considering what's happened today and how we can follow up on these activities. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Cheryl, for putting all of these resources together for us and your presentation earlier.